Vertical video warning. I guess it's too late for that, isn't it? You're already watching the video. I have an interesting question for you today, and this is something that has plagued my mind, okay? You can see the vein bulge in my forehead whenever I say plague, and it really bothers me. And it's about Myers-Briggs, and whenever I thought of this dilemma, my entire world of Myers-Briggs and 16 personalities and the cognitive functions, it all came crashing down. And it never has quite felt the same since. So you're probably wondering, what is it, Jeremy? What's the problem? Let me explain. Each Myers-Briggs personality type is actually a combination, a permutation of 8 cognitive functions, such as extroverted thinking, introverted thinking, extroverted sensing, introverted sensing. And it goes all the way down the list of all the dichotomies of Myers-Briggs, okay? The problem is that if someone answers the Myers-Briggs assessment in a certain way, they can be on the fence between each dichotomy. Whenever I say dichotomy, I mean E or I, T or F, and so on and so forth. So let's say INTP, for example. Let's say I'm an on-the-fence INTP person, and I answered the assessment such that, assuming that it gives you a percentage of your extroversion versus introversion and all that, let's say I'm like 47% introverted, or rather extroverted, meaning 57% introverted, which means I'm barely introverted, barely. And so what that means is that I'm almost an ENTP, right? Well, am I? Because the cognitive functions are a very specific set of ordering of cognitive functions. And just changing from ENTP, from INTP, and back and forth completely changes everything. And so something as simple as, well, I'm an INTP, but barely, doesn't that really mean I'm an INTP with their cognitive functions, but barely? Which means I'm stuck in the middle between 8 cognitive functions over here and 8 over here, which means I'm just sort of a chaotic mess because I'm in the middle. And an even better example of this is, let's say that someone is an INTP, and on every single dichotomy, I, N, T, and P, they're barely INTP. And so the alternative is they could have easily answered the assessment and said, I'm ISFP. That could have been an outcome, right? And so an ISFP, and I'm looking at my cheat notes here, an ISFP has none of the cognitive functions of the INTP. None. It's FISENITE. The INTP doesn't have any of those. And so if an INTP answers the assessment and is barely an INTP on each one of those dichotomies, then how can we say they're introverted thinking, they're NE, they're SI, they're FE? They're definitely that. That's definitely what they are. Whenever they almost answered FISENITE. Do you see what I'm saying here? So just a tiny variation in the dichotomies can result in, for instance, with INTP and ISFP, just changing 2 letters, only changing the middle 2 letters can result in a completely different set of cognitive functions. So if someone says, yeah, I'm an INTP, but I'm right on the fence, does that actually mean I'm an INTP, but I also have the exact same traits as an ISFP because I'm right on the fence, which means I'm an abomination of a person and act completely different depending on where I am and who I'm talking with, and sometimes I'm a very analytical person, and other times I'm floating around like an artist, enjoying nature like an ISFP. Like, what exactly does it mean? Are you a mixture of the two? Are you an amalgamation of the INTP and ISFP? What exactly are you? And so that's my concern. That's why. And if anyone has an answer to this, please let me know, because it's really driving me insane. So, and just to summarize, if an INTP answers an assessment, whether it's the cognitive functions assessment or the MBTI itself, regardless, if an INTP answers it and barely gets INTP on the dichotomies, and does that mean that they are a hybrid of the cognitive functions of another personality as well? So if I could go, some days I'm sensing, and some days I'm a feeler, because I'm barely thinking and I'm barely intuitive. So some days I'm really ISFP. Well, that means that some days you have a completely different set of cognitive functions. Completely. And so what does that mean? Now, in actuality, I answer very, very extreme on the dichotomies. So introversion, intuitive thinking, and perceiving for INTP, I'm 90% or higher for the assessments that actually give you a percentage breakdown. I'm 90% or higher on all four of those. And so the cognitive functions really resonate with me, and it feels like it's a really good fit. But a lot of people say, I'm on the fence, and really what that means is I could have a completely separate set of cognitive functions and not even know it. So what are y'all's thoughts? What do you think about that? If you haven't liked this video or subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. And I'm going to give you an awkward pause right now to do it, in case you're watching this on a TV and need to hit the clicker remote to go up and hit subscribe. Okay, thanks a lot for doing that. I'll see you next time.